No one noticed the moment humanity was judged. There was no explosion, no warning siren, no sign in the sky. Somewhere far beyond human space, a group of alien observers watched Earth for less than 1 hour and decided its fate. In that short time, they concluded something that would soon cost them everything. Humans were weak. That belief spread through the stars faster than light. For thousands of years, people on Earth had stared into the night sky with hope. They imagined friendly visitors, shared knowledge, and peaceful futures among the stars. They never imagined that the first eyes to truly study them felt nothing but amusement. The Carax ascendancy had ruled 7 spiral systems for over 40,000 years. They were tall, armored beings with bodies grown for survival in harsh gravity. Their minds were enhanced by a neural lattice that allowed instant communication, prediction, and shared thought. To them, intelligence meant efficiency. Strength meant dominance. Any species lacking both was classified as manageable. Earth appeared on their scanners as a noisy, chaotic world. Too many nations. Too many arguments. Too much emotion. Supreme Observer Valtech studied the data with calm certainty. Humans had no hive mind. No psychic link. No natural armor. Their bodies were fragile, their lifespans short, their technology uneven and outdated. They had weapons, yes, but crude ones. Loud ones. Wasteful ones. They fight themselves more than anyone else, one analyst noted. Valtech agreed. A divided species never survives first contact. The ascendancy did not announce itself immediately. That was their way. Let the prey breathe. Let it feel normal. Let it believe it was safe. Then came the skyfall. One quiet night, objects appeared above Earth's atmosphere. Not dozens. Not hundreds. Just 12. Perfectly still. Perfectly silent. They did not glow. They did not move. They simply waited. Panic followed within minutes. Satellites failed. Military radar returned nothing. Aircraft systems glitched and reset. Across the world, people stepped outside and stared upward, feeling a fear they could not explain. It wasn't terror yet. It was something colder. A sense of being watched. 24 hours later, every screen on Earth turned black. Then the message began. A tall figure appeared, standing in a room of dark metal and flowing light. Its voice was calm, precise, and translated instantly into every human language. "People of Earth," it said, "you have been evaluated." The silence that followed was absolute. You are not being attacked. You are being claimed. Governments froze. Military commanders shouted orders that went nowhere. No system could lock onto the ships above. No signal reached them. "You lack unity," the voice continued. "You lack efficiency. You lack discipline. Your biology is unstable. Your societies are fragile. Your species is inefficient." Across the world, people listened in disbelief. "You will not be destroyed," the being said. "That would be wasteful. You will be reorganized." The word echoed like a sentence. "Your leaders will step aside. Your industries will be integrated. Your planet will serve as a resource and labor center. Compliance will ensure survival." The figure leaned slightly forward. "Resistance will be educational." The message ended. For the first time in human history, the world did not argue. Emergency councils formed within hours. Borders stopped mattering. Old enemies shared data. Not out of trust, but out of fear. Humanity had faced wars, disasters, and plagues before. But this was different. This was judgment. Dr. Elias Monroe sat in a reinforced bunker beneath what used to be a research university. He was not a soldier. He was not a politician. He was a systems theorist, someone who studied patterns in chaos. And what he saw terrified him. "They don't understand us at all," he said quietly. General Amina Qureshi, head of the Global Defense Coalition, looked up from the data streams. "They understand enough to beat us." "No," Elias replied. "They understand the wrong things." He pulled up historical footage. Human wars. Revolutions. Recoveries. They think division is weakness, he said. But it's how we test ideas. They think emotion is inefficiency. But it's how we adapt. They think we are fragile because we break. He paused. But they've never seen how fast we rebuild. The ascendancy waited for surrender. It never came. Instead, something stranger happened. Earth went quiet. No speeches. No threats. No defiance. Human broadcasts dropped to near zero. Satellites shut down voluntarily. Networks fragmented into isolated systems. To the ascendancy, it looked like collapse. Valtech observed with satisfaction. They are panicking, he concluded. They are turning inward. But beneath the surface, the opposite was happening. Humanity was thinking. Deep underground, in places never meant to be used, scientists, engineers, historians, and tacticians worked side by side. Old rivalries were ignored. Secrets were shared without hesitation. Every failure, every past mistake, every lost war was studied. Not to repeat them, but to do better. What the ascendancy did not know was this: humans had evolved under constant threat. From nature. From predators. From each other. They did not grow stronger by being perfect. They grew stronger by surviving imperfection. Dr. Monroe discovered something critical while analyzing the alien signal structure. They're centralized, he said. Everything flows through their neural lattice. Every decision. Every system. General Qureshi understood instantly. If we disrupt that. We don't need to destroy them, Elias said. We just need to confuse them. The plan had no name yet. It didn't need one. Above Earth, Valtech received updated projections. Human compliance probability was dropping, but not because of resistance. Because of unpredictability. They are behaving irrationally, an analyst reported. Valtech watched the blue planet rotate slowly beneath the fleet. No, he said. They are behaving primitively. He turned away, already bored. They will break. He was wrong. And the galaxy would soon learn the most dangerous truth of all. Humans don't fight when they are loud. They fight when they are silent. Silence spread across Earth like a living thing. From orbit, the planet looked calm. City lights still glowed. Oceans still moved. Weather patterns remained unchanged. To the Karak's ascendancy, it appeared that humanity was slowly accepting its fate. But silence does not always mean surrender. Inside hidden facilities across the planet, humanity was moving faster than it ever had before. The world's greatest minds were no longer separated by borders, funding limits, or political control. Scientists who once competed for grants now shared equations freely. Engineers who had built weapons for rival nations now designed systems together. Historians worked beside artificial intelligence experts, searching through thousands of years of human conflict for one truth. How do weaker forces defeat stronger ones? General Amina Qureshi stood at the center of the global command chamber, watching streams of data flow across curved screens. Every feed came from a different part of the world, yet all were synchronized perfectly. That alone was something humanity had never achieved before. They still haven't moved, an officer reported. Alien fleet remains stationary. Good, Qureshi replied. Let them believe we're frozen. Beneath the calm surface, humanity was building something dangerous. Not a weapon, but an idea. Dr. Elias Monroe led a small team studying the alien fleet's behavior patterns. The ascendancy ships were powerful, but also predictable. They followed perfect geometry, perfect timing, perfect order. That's their weakness, Elias said. They rely on structure. Everything must fit the system. One of the younger analysts frowned. That doesn't sound like a weakness. It is, Elias replied calmly, because systems don't handle chaos well. The ascendancy had evolved without internal conflict. Their neural lattice kept thoughts aligned, emotions balanced, decisions optimized. War, to them, was clean and efficient. Human war had never been clean. It had been desperate. And desperation bred creativity. 3 days after the ultimatum, the Ascendancy attempted a probe. A single ship descended into Earth's upper atmosphere, its shields shimmering as it tested resistance. The humans did nothing. No missiles. No communication. No response at all. Inside the ship, Observer-class Commander Rethval monitored the planet with mild curiosity. They are afraid, he concluded. Their silence confirms it. That was when the first anomaly occurred. Human satellites, old ones, outdated ones, suddenly activated. Not to attack, but to broadcast. Thousands of overlapping signals flooded local space. Music. Static. Old movies. Broken code. Random noise layered with emotional speech from centuries of archived human voices. The Ascendancy ship hesitated. What is the purpose of this transmission? Rethval demanded. No answer came, because there was none. The signals meant nothing individually, but together, they overwhelmed the ship's filtering systems. The neural lattice struggled to prioritize. It tried to analyze meaning where none existed. For the first time in its history, an Ascendancy system hesitated. Earth satellites burned out seconds later, overloaded by their own output. The humans had sacrificed them on purpose. From orbit, Valtech watched the probe retreat. A minor disturbance, he said. Nothing more. But the analysts were uneasy. Supreme Observer, one said carefully, the humans are not behaving according to projected fear response models. Explain, Valtech replied. They are not escalating, the analyst said. They are experimenting. That word lingered. On Earth, Dr. Monroe smiled grimly. They reacted, he said. Good. The goal was never to destroy the probe. It was to learn. And humanity learned fast. Every response from the alien ship revealed timing delays, processing limits, and dependency on synchronized decision-making. The Ascendancy thought as one. Humans did not. That night, General Qureshi addressed a secure global channel. We cannot match their strength, she said. So we won't try. We will force them to fight on ground they don't understand. She paused, then added quietly, uncertainty. The next phase began. Across the planet, factories retooled in silence. Not for tanks or missiles, but for modular systems. Devices designed to emit chaotic electromagnetic patterns. Not strong enough to destroy, but unpredictable enough to disrupt. Humanity wasn't building weapons. They were building confusion. The Ascendancy noticed strange fluctuations around Earth. Not attacks. Not defenses. Just irregularities. Valtech dismissed the reports at first. Primitive interference, he said. Their technology is unstable. But the fleet's neural lattice began reporting small inconsistencies. Communication delays measured in milliseconds. Minor desynchronizations between ships. Insignificant alone. Concerning together. Run diagnostics, Valtech ordered. The diagnostics returned clean. That troubled him more than a failure would have. On Earth, Dr. Monroe addressed his team. They're blind to it, he said. Their systems correct for error automatically. They don't question the source. A young engineer looked up. So what happens when the error grows? Elias exhaled slowly. Then the system starts correcting things that aren't broken. The 5th day arrived. The Ascendancy issued another message. Humanity, the voice echoed across the planet. Your silence has been noted. Your failure to comply will result in demonstration. Above the Pacific Ocean, one Ascendancy ship fired a single energy pulse into empty water. The sea boiled. A column of steam rose kilometers into the air. Satellites captured the image before shutting down. The message was clear. We can erase you. Around the world, humans watched. And still, no one responded. Valtech felt irritation for the first time in centuries. They deny us acknowledgement, he said. Why? Because fear was no longer guiding humanity. Purpose was. In a bunker beneath the Andes Mountains, General Qureshi stood beside Dr. Monroe as the final phase activated. "It won't destroy them," she said. "You're sure?" "Yes," Elias replied. "That's the point." Above Earth, the Ascendancy fleet experienced something impossible. For exactly 12 seconds, the neural lattice desynchronized. 12 seconds was nothing. 12 seconds was everything. Ships hesitated. Commands delayed. Internal systems questioned priority. The fleet did not fail. It stuttered. Valtech felt it like a phantom pain. "What was that?" he demanded. Analysts scrambled. Unknown cause. No weapon discharge detected. The silence from Earth continued. But now it felt different. Not empty. Not afraid. Watching. Valtech stared at the planet again. For the first time, doubt crept into his thoughts. "They are doing something," he whispered. And far below, humanity prepared to show the galaxy something it had never seen before. A species that did not win by force, but by making its enemy doubt reality itself. The galaxy had never seen confusion like this before. For the Karak's ascendancy, war had always followed rules. Clear threats. Clear dominance. Clear submission. Species either obeyed, or vanished. There was no room for doubt, no space for uncertainty. Earth was rewriting that truth. Supreme Observer Valtech stood motionless on the command bridge, watching streams of data that no longer aligned the way they should. The neural lattice whispered corrections, adjustments, explanations, but none of them felt complete. The fleet was still powerful. Still untouched. Yet something was wrong. 12 seconds, Valtech said quietly. "Explain it again." The analysts exchanged uneasy looks. "Our systems experienced a synchronization delay," one said. "Not a failure. Not an attack. Just interference." "From where?" "We cannot isolate a source." That answer would have been unthinkable days earlier. Valtech clenched his armored fingers. "Run predictive models. I want to know what humans do next." The results returned almost instantly. Probability projections fractured. Instead of clear outcomes, the system displayed branching paths. Too many. Contradictory. Unstable. The lattice struggled. On Earth, Dr. Elias Monroe watched the same moment from a very different perspective. "It worked," he whispered. Around him, exhausted scientists leaned over consoles, eyes red but focused. They had not slept properly in days. No one complained. No one asked to stop. Humanity had discovered something dangerous. The Ascendancy did not understand improvisation. Their intelligence was powerful, but rigid, optimized for known variables. Humans, on the other hand, thrived in uncertainty. They guessed. They tested. They failed fast and adapted faster. General Amina Qureshi entered the room, her posture calm but tense. "The fleet hasn't moved," she said. "They are reassessing." "Good," Elias replied. "That means they're thinking." "Can we keep this up?" she asked. Elias nodded slowly. "Not forever. But long enough." Humanity's strategy was simple in concept and terrifying in execution. They would never strike first. They would never offer a clear target. Instead, they would become unpredictable. Across the planet, small teams activated localized disruption systems. Not weapons, noise generators, emotional signal loops, pattern breakers. Each one slightly different. Each one imperfect. That imperfection was the key. Above Earth, the Ascendancy fleet began experiencing minor issues. Navigation adjustments that corrected themselves too late. Communications that arrived out of sequence. Internal debates within the neural lattice over priorities that should have been obvious. Nothing catastrophic. Nothing provable. But the errors accumulated. "Humans are not attacking," one commander reported. "They are provoking." Valtech's eyes darkened. "They are mocking us." On the sixth day, the Ascendancy decided to escalate. A task force of 3 ships broke formation and descended toward Earth's atmosphere over a sparsely populated region. Their objective was simple: capture humans. Study them directly. End the uncertainty. The ships met no resistance as they descended. Inside the lead vessel, Commander Rethval prepared containment units. "Once we understand their neural structure," he said, "this ends." As the ships crossed into the upper atmosphere, something unexpected happened. Human aircraft appeared. Not advanced fighters. Not sleek weapons of the future. Old planes. Refitted cargo aircraft. Experimental drones. Civilian machines modified in ways that made no sense to alien sensors. They did not attack. They flew around the Ascendancy ships. Erratically. Too close. Too far. Too slow. Too fast. The Ascendancy targeting systems refused to lock. "They are violating engagement protocols," Rethval snapped. "Why are they not retreating?" Because humans had learned something critical. Alien weapons were designed for enemies who feared death. Humans had a long history of people who did not. The aircraft transmitted chaotic data bursts, emotions encoded as noise. Fear mixed with laughter. Rage layered with calm. Thousands of human voices speaking at once, overlapping and contradicting. The Ascendancy ship's neural lattice reacted badly. "It's meaningless," an officer said. "But the system keeps trying to interpret it." That's the trap, Rethval realized too late. Below, human pilots followed strict instructions. Do not engage. Do not shoot. Do not repeat patterns. One drone deliberately stalled and fell from the sky, barely missing the alien ship. Another clipped its own wing to change flight behavior mid-maneuver. To the Ascendancy, it looked like madness. To humans, it was adaptation. The task force retreated. No shots fired. No losses. But the message was unmistakable. Earth was not afraid. Back in orbit, Valtek slammed a fist into the command console. "They are forcing us to hesitate," he growled. "Yes," an advisor replied carefully. "And hesitation spreads." The Ascendancy faced a problem they had never encountered. Their power depended on certainty. Humans were eroding that certainty without ever challenging their strength directly. On Earth, General Qureshi addressed the global command. "They're getting frustrated," she said. "That's dangerous." "Frustration leads to mistakes," Elias replied. "And mistakes lead to escalation," Qureshi said. "We need to be ready." Humanity's preparation shifted. No longer just disruption. Now, redirection. Scientists had discovered that Ascendancy ships relied heavily on predictive targeting. They aimed not where enemies were, but where they should be. So humans changed how they moved. Swarm drones altered behavior randomly. Missile decoys reversed course mid-flight. Ground forces repositioned unpredictably. Even human decision-makers were rotated constantly, ensuring no single pattern formed. The Ascendancy could not adapt fast enough. Valtek requested reinforcements. For the first time in Ascendancy history, a single species had delayed domination without firing a weapon. The galaxy watched. Some laughed. Others began to pay attention. On the 7th day, the Ascendancy issued its final warning. "Humanity," the voice echoed. "Your actions are illogical. Your resistance is inefficient. Submit now." This time, Earth responded. Not with words, but with action. Across the planet, every disruption system activated at once. The neural lattice across the Ascendancy fleet staggered. Not collapsed, but shaken. For the first time in 40,000 years, the Ascendancy felt something unfamiliar ripple through its shared consciousness. Uncertainty. And beneath that uncertainty, fear. The Ascendancy had never known fear. They had studied it in other species, measured it, used it, but they had never felt it. Their neural lattice filtered emotion, optimized response, removed hesitation. Fear was inefficient. Now it crept into the system like a flaw that refused to be corrected. Supreme Observer Valtech stood at the center of the command bridge as the fleet's shared consciousness struggled to stabilize. Data streams lagged. Predictive models contradicted one another. The lattice demanded clarity, and the universe refused to provide it. "This cannot continue," Valtech said. "We are losing authority." Authority was everything to the ascendancy. It was not just power, it was identity. To allow a primitive species to disrupt them without consequence would send a message across the stars. And so Valtech made the decision history would remember as the beginning of the end. "We will strike," he ordered. "Decisively." Several advisors hesitated. "Supreme Observer, direct assault increases unpredictability. The humans are weak," Valtech snapped. "And weakness must be reminded of its place." The plan was brutal and simple. A synchronized orbital strike on a single region. Not a city, something worse. A cultural symbol. A place humanity believed untouchable. They chose the global research arc beneath the Arctic ice. On Earth, warning systems lit up instantly. General Amina Qureshi did not shout. She did not panic. She closed her eyes for 1 second, then opened them. "They've chosen force," she said. "Just like we hoped." Dr. Elias Monroe looked at the projected impact zone. "If they hit that facility, we lose everything." "Yes," Qureshi replied. "And they lose something too." "What?" "Their certainty." The Arctic Arc was not just a research center. It was bait. Humanity had predicted escalation. They had prepared for it, not with shields or counterstrikes, but with something far more dangerous. Choice. Inside the facility, thousands of scientists and engineers received the same message. Impact in 7 minutes. No evacuation order followed. Instead, a question appeared on every screen. Stay and activate Protocol Echo, or retreat and preserve your lives. No one was forced. No one was ordered. People looked at each other. Thought of families. Thought of history. Thought of everything humanity had survived to reach this moment. And one by one, they stayed. Dr. Monroe's hands trembled as he watched confirmation lights turn green across the globe. "They're really doing it," he whispered. General Qureshi nodded. "That's what makes us human." Above the planet, ascendancy weapons charged. Energy built along vast conduits, bending space around them. "Fire," Valtech commanded. The beam struck. Ice vaporized. The sky split. The Arctic burned. From the ascendancy's perspective, it was total annihilation. From humanity's perspective, it was ignition. Protocol Echo activated in the moment of destruction. Across the planet, and beyond it, every disruption system synchronized for the first time. Not through rigid alignment, but through adaptive resonance. Each system responded to the others dynamically, amplifying unpredictability instead of suppressing it. The neural lattice reeled. Ships lost shared awareness. Not entirely, but enough. Just enough. For the first time in recorded history, ascendancy vessels began making independent decisions. That had never been necessary before. That had never been trained. Valtech staggered as conflicting inputs flooded his mind. The lattice tried to resolve them, but there was no correct answer. "What did they do?" an officer shouted. "They sacrificed," another whispered. "On purpose." The concept hit the ascendancy like a weapon. A species willing to destroy its own critical assets, not out of desperation, but strategy, did not fit any model. Humanity had turned loss into leverage. On Earth, chaos erupted, but not panic. Emergency systems rerouted. Secondary facilities activated. Data preserved elsewhere came online. The sacrifice hurt, but it did not cripple. It unified. General Qureshi addressed the world. "They thought pain would break us," she said calmly. "They were wrong." In orbit, ascendancy formations fractured. Not physically, but mentally. Command delays stretched from milliseconds to seconds. Seconds became eternity in battle calculus. Humanity struck back, not with destruction, but misdirection. Old satellites, once silent, reactivated and reflected false signals. Drone swarms filled space with impossible trajectories. Human cyber teams injected contradictory data into ascendancy sensor feeds, not hacking, but overwhelming. The fleet fired. And missed. Several beams struck empty space. One clipped another ascendancy vessel. That had never happened before. Valtech felt something collapse inside the lattice. "Cease fire," he commanded. But the order arrived too late to some ships, and too early to others. Confusion spread. Across the galaxy, observers began to notice. A primitive world was not dying. It was teaching. Humanity did not destroy a single ascendancy ship that day. They didn't need to. They proved something far more terrifying. The ascendancy could bleed. Not metal, but certainty. And once certainty was gone, power meant nothing. As the fleet withdrew to re-establish control, Valtech stared at Earth in disbelief. "They should not be able to do this," he whispered. Far below, humanity watched the stars, and prepared for the final act. They had lost lives. They had lost ground. But they had gained something the galaxy had never expected. Respect. And fear. The galaxy listened. For the first time in known history, the Karax ascendancy did not advance, did not threaten, did not dominate. Their fleet hovered at the edge of Earth's influence, weapons powered down, neural lattice struggling to reform a certainty that no longer existed. Silence spread outward from the blue planet. It was not the silence of fear anymore. It was the silence of attention. Supreme Observer Valtech had locked himself inside the core chamber of his flagship. The lattice whispered fragments of thought from across the fleet, contradictions, doubts, unaligned conclusions. This was wrong. This was impossible. The ascendancy had survived 40,000 years because it never hesitated. Now it hesitated because of humans. "They should be broken," Valtech muttered. "They should be begging." Instead, Earth transmitted a single signal. No threat. No demand. Just data. The ascendancy analysts froze as they decoded it. Human history. Not curated. Not sanitized. Not heroic propaganda. Everything. Wars lost. Empires fallen. Cities burned. Plagues. Starvation. Genocide. Recovery. Rebuilding. Cooperation. Betrayal. Innovation. Failure. Adaptation. A species forged in endless crisis. A species that learned not to avoid suffering, but to use it. At the end of the transmission was a short message, spoken by General Amina Qureshi, calm and unmistakably human. "We do not seek your destruction. But we will not serve you. We survived ourselves. You will not frighten us." The neural lattice reacted violently. Ascendancy doctrine collapsed under the weight of the data. Their models had never included a civilization that evolved through chaos rather than beyond it. Humanity's strength was not unity of thought, but diversity of response. They did not think as one. They thought as many. And when threatened, they aligned not through force, but choice. Valtech finally understood the mistake. The ascendancy had assumed intelligence meant control. Humans had proven intelligence meant adaptation. As the fleet attempted to withdraw fully, something unexpected happened. Other signals appeared. From other systems. Other species. Worlds that had been classified as compliant. Subservient. Managed. They had been watching. They had seen the impossible. A weak species had resisted without superior weapons. Without psychic power. Without galactic allies. They had done it with creativity. With sacrifice. With refusal. Across the stars, former labor worlds began to question ascendancy authority. Minor disruptions appeared. Hesitation spread. Obedience fractured. The ascendancy had not just failed to conquer Earth. They had exposed themselves. Back on Earth, humanity watched as alien ships retreated beyond effective range. No cheers erupted. No celebrations. Only relief and resolve. Dr. Elias Monroe stood beside General Qureshi in the Global Command Chamber. "Did we win?" he asked quietly. Qureshi shook her head. "No." She looked at the stars. "We survived. That's more dangerous." Because survival meant learning. And humanity had learned fast. The world did not return to how it was before. Borders mattered less. Cooperation came easier. Old weapons were reconsidered, not for dominance, but deterrence. Humanity had seen the galaxy, and the galaxy had seen humanity, not as prey, not as slaves, but as a variable no one could afford to ignore. Supreme Observer Valtek sent his final report to the Ascendancy Corps. "Earth is not to be engaged," he wrote. "Not now. Possibly never." He paused before adding one last line. "They do not conquer like us. They endure. And that may be stronger." The report was archived. The silence remained. Across distant systems, civilizations whispered a new warning to their children when they spoke of the stars. Be careful of Earth. Not because humans are cruel, but because when pushed, they become unstoppable. And somewhere beneath a quiet sky, humanity looked upward once more, not with hope, not with fear, but with understanding. The universe was vast. It was dangerous. And now, it knew their name.